Hello, and welcome to Round Glass. My name is Lisa Kring. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a longtime practitioner of Vipassana Buddhism, and I'm really happy to be with you right now in real time, all of us together, learning how more and more to align with our deepest core values and how important that is in our life. So before we move into the practice, and the practice will involve a reflection, I would love to offer a prompt that we can all resonate with and come together before we begin this practice. Do you ever feel like you've lost your way in life? So just feel free, please, to respond in the chat. Someone says, yes, it feels like I'm just going through motions with no sense of purpose or direction. Yes, that's really a beautiful way of describing it. Of course, I fall off the rails sometimes, someone says. Thank you. Always looking for guidance to get back on track. Yeah, I think that we all, if we're honest, need more guidance. Someone else says, at times, definitely. My meditation practice really helps, and I completely agree with you. You know, there's something about meditation just in general that brings us back down into what's real, into our truth. And this can really help guide our course. It's almost as if when we meditate, we align with our inner compass, which is what I would love for us to do right now. So before we move into the practice together, and I'll say a few words in preparation, just so that we can all get on the same page together before we move into the practice. Please, while I'm just offering these first few words before we move into the meditation and the reflection, I would like to invite you to get something that you can write down, like a pad of paper and a pen or a pencil, so that it can be an active experience. We'll spend some time settling and meditating, as we were saying, really dropping down into what's real, what's true for us. And then the writing, just a very simple reflection, will help us anchor our insights and perhaps really allow this to take root in our life. So, yes, I think we all at times can feel like we've lost our way in life. It's really so universal. It feels like we've wandered from our true path. It feels like what someone shared in the chat, like we're just going through the motions. How can we get back on track? And how we do that is by reconnecting with our inner compass. Finding our path begins first by knowing and aligning with our deepest core values. These are values that provide the inner coordinates that are always here if we can, and whenever we can, periodically pause and mindfully align. Isn't it good to know that that's always available? What are your core values? Just begin to drop down and reflect. Perhaps it's courage. I know for me that's a big one, as well as non-harming. Or perhaps for you, a core value is kindness and decency. Maybe compassion. I'm just offering these as examples, and you can see if they drop down and resonate for you. What about honesty and respect? I think a big one is truth. Really valuing truth. Or perhaps spiritual growth. I have a sense that you wouldn't be here right now for this live session, this live stream session, if you didn't have that as a value in your life. So you can just feel into that. And just to, by way of distinction, core values are not goals. They're more like guideposts. They're not destinations, but more like directions. They can be tapped into in any moment. It's important to say, too, that they're not what we do, but more what we become. Isn't that nice? So it's so great right now to come together for this practice, to discover and to rediscover, to continue to discover and align with the deep values that bring us back home. So I hope that's helpful to you as you settle in, and hopefully you've had a moment to perhaps get a piece of paper or anything you'd like to use in order to just jot down some of the reflections that I'll be guiding us all together into. So take a moment to settle into a posture. I'll be guiding for about 20, 22 minutes. So make sure that your posture is very supportive and sustainable for this length of time. You might want to lay down. It's beautiful to find a posture that aligns with and resonates with, embodies, you might say, your core values. Perhaps it's a kind of relaxed wakefulness, this value of really opening to life, right? Of being present. Is that a deep value? So find a posture that really embodies perhaps some of what you value, and make sure that you just feel very stable, relaxed, but awake. It's nice to roll the shoulders back. And before we move into this guided meditation and reflection, take a moment to stretch if you like. It's often nice to unwind and unburden the body before we move into stillness. So maybe just some stretches, some shoulder rolls, whatever feels really wholesome and supportive to your body, to your heart, and to your mind. So settling in. And we'll begin by just establishing some mindful embodied presence. You can close your eyes gently and notice how it feels for you just as we begin. Closing your eyes, turning the gaze of present awareness inward, and beginning to drop down into what's real and true. It's also nice to really acknowledge the very good heart that brought you to this practice period, that wants the best for you, that wants you to find your path. Feel into this goodness that brought you here, that you paid attention, that you listened, and this is good news that you're here right now. So as you begin to drop down into a felt sense of your direct experience, let's settle a bit by letting the body lead. What I'd like to do is just offer the anchor of sound to be a very natural and simple way into mindful presence. And I'm going to ring the bowl that I have, and just if your eyes are closed, I'll ring it 3 times. And allow the sound of the bowl, just as it is, let it find you. I'd like you to sit back, not looking for anything, and just listen and feel with the entire body the sound of the bowl as it rises and gently passes away. So I'll ring it 3 times. And as the sound of the bowl inevitably fades, you can continue to rest in the stream of sounds, simply opening to and feeling, really listening to the surround sound of this moment. Become quite curious. Let go of any preferences. and simply receive sound as vibrational, sensual, and elemental. There are the sounds within the room, wherever you are. There are also sounds, perhaps more subtle, outside the room, if you're inside. And simply resting in the stream of, in the music of sound, moment to moment, noticing the changing nature of sounds as they rise and pass away. Rest in the experience, rest in that river of sound, just letting that be. Resting in the physical flow of sound. Releasing the add-on in the mind. Letting all that go. You can also simply rest in the stillness, moments of stillness. And see what it's like to surrender to and join with that stillness, becoming the stillness in those moments. You may notice all kinds of other sensations, chatter in the mind, other sensations in the body or the heart. But see if you can, just for now, just to settle and rest. Allow everything else just to move into the background of awareness, not the main focus right now, not a problem at all. And simply rest in the music of now, moment to moment. Taking this time to really settle into the felt direct experience of the body through sound. And when you feel settled, we'll begin to very gently move into the reflection of aligning with our deepest core values. As you sit or lie, just as you are, Just imagining yourself in your mind's eye in a very lovely place. And allow this to be occurring at some time in the future, sometime in your future. It can be the relatively recent future or a much more distant future. And it's at a moment, it's at a time in your life, whichever seems right for you, when you're feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and joy and contentment in your life. So just letting that scene, resting in contentment of a life lived well, and place yourself there. While life hasn't been easy, you have managed to stay true to yourself and what matters most to you. This is such a good feeling. Allow yourself to really soak into the sense of peace at this future time, whenever that may be, whatever arises out of your imagination. Knowing and appreciating a life well lived, and just rest in that experience, rest in that scene. Really getting in touch with that feeling. As you rest in this scene, really, as I was saying, really soaking in the experience of contentment and peace of a life well lived. Begin to now gently reflect on what core values guided you wisely to this place at this time in your life. Drop down into what qualities, what guided you best. Was it a sense of adventure or valuing tranquility or peace or meaningful work of some kind? As these values become clear to you in this scene of your imagining, I'd like you to just write down all of the core values that become clear to you. Go ahead and do that right now. It may be just a list of a few values, or you may begin to tap into more as you really feel into a moment in your future where you feel such contentment, such peace of a life that has truly been in accordance with your deepest and truest path. What are these values that really bring you home? So after you've written these down, you can put the pen or pencil down, whatever you're using to write, and drop back down into your sitting posture for a little bit more reflection. As you reflect on these core values, and you can keep your eyes open, really looking at what you've written down if that helps you. Inquire whether you are truly living in accordance with these values right now. without judgment, just with a quality of self-compassion and love, as you would for a very good friend. For instance, perhaps you value peace, but you find that in reality you are too busy in your life. As you reflect in this way, just for the remainder of this practice, just focus in on one that seems to stand out the most for you. And if you like, you can circle it. This is a value that means a lot to you, but for some reason, for whatever reason, there's not as much alignment as you would like right now, but alignment is possible, and that's what we're going to move into. As you get in touch with this one core value that you've circled, just reflect now and sit back again and reflect on if there's any obstacles that keep you living in alignment with this core value. There can be external obstacles, external conditions, and there can be internal obstacles as well, such as your own inner critic or insecurities, fears and worries, etc. So continue to write down in relationship to this one value that you've circled for now, what seems to be any obstacles, and allow yourself to get in touch with it. Write this down. Write down whatever may be in the way. As you write them down, you can begin to reflect on what can help you remove or better address these obstacles. What could support you in aligning more directly, dropping down deep into connection with this core value? What can clear the path? And take a moment to really envision what that would look like in your life right now. Allow yourself to envision how the path can be cleared right now in respect to this particular value. If you'd like to write anything down, please do. And know that you can continue this process even after this live stream period. You can really allow this to be a daily practice, a weekly practice, or a practice you can use whenever you feel that you've lost your way. Just dialing back down, tapping back down in, and reflecting, giving yourself enough time to explore how you can drop down more deeply into alliance with these core values. Finally, for these last few minutes of this practice, sit back, put all your writing utensils down, close your eyes, and for a moment, take a moment to reflect now on perhaps creating a mantra for yourself in relationship to this particular value that you've circled still, staying with that. And perhaps there's a phrase or a few words that you can compose that when you offer this phrase or recite this phrase, it clears the way. It drops you back down into the safety the refuge of this core value brings you back into harmony with it. For instance, if kindness is a value, you can simply compose a very simple phrase. May I be kind to myself and to others, especially when times are hard. May I be kind in this life. So have fun with this. Make sure that whatever mantra or phrase you write really resonates for you, really drops down in deep. And for this last minute, please feel free to write that down. And you can play with this. You can have fun composing it, finding just the right words that really sing, that really have music for you. I'll just give you one more minute. When you do write down a phrase, or perhaps it's just one word, it can be very simple. Really try it on. Let it ripple and resonate throughout your being and see if it's just right for you. See if it really drops down into your heart, bringing you into intimate and safe alignment with this core value, like an inner compass that will always steer you back on track, bringing you back into your best self in any moment. So feel free now in this last few minutes or moments to just sit back as we began and just rest now. Just sit back, you can close your eyes, and just once again dropping down into your direct experience and noticing for yourself, what was this like? Was this meaningful? Was this a practice or a process that can help bring you back on track? Were you able to get in touch with any obstacles, external or internal? And could you reflect on perhaps creative ways to clear your path? What would it look like? Give yourself so much credit for taking this time, such sacred time, to find and to know, to tune into your inner coordinates. And know that they're always here within you, always waiting for you to resource and to tap back in. I'm just going to ring the bowl as a way to end this meditation reflection on aligning with our core values. You can open your eyes. And now I'd love for this last minute to open up to any questions that you may have. Really love to open up the space. We are so, so lucky to practice together. And someone says, thank you. I have felt lost in many times and know that there's a possibility of it happening again. Grateful for this question and meditation today. Yes, I think if we're honest, we all can feel that way. Someone else says, I love the idea of creating my own mantra. Yes, you really can. And what's important is to make it all for you. Exactly what feels right for you. Words have great power. And what they do is they bring us back into alignment. They're vibrational and they bring us back. So I hope this was very helpful for you today. Thank you so much for joining me and for showing up for yourself. And remember, you can always meditate with Round Glass live every single day. Check us out at round.glass or on our app. And of course, I will be back next week for my next live session. Until then, be well. May you stay aligned with your core values. Thank you.